I have some big news. I've had 3 major life changes and now I want to sell 4 of my favorite bikes. And these life changes could be a negative in the context of getting rid of my bikes, but in the long run, it's gonna be for the better. So stay tuned. I'll tell you more about that in a second. But for now, I gotta get these bikes built up and ready to be sold. The first bike on the chopping block is my Polygon Siskiyou T6E, my e-bike. I've been using this bike for over a year now, and at one point, I really loved this bike. It rode so well, and I had a great time with it. But last summer, when I installed new suspension, I was going to make this bike, or I wanted to make this bike feel really amazing. But the new parts never really felt great, at least not like it did when I had the mid-tier parts installed. And we found out last year with the high-low series that the Polygons, or maybe any budget bike, has a cap to how good it can feel. With mid-tier upgrades, it feels great, but if you start bolting in high-end stuff, the bike feels kind of weird. Man, this is gonna give me some difficulties here. I've been running a wireless dropper on this frame because a while back, I disintegrated the dropper cable and housing inside the frame, so I just went with a wireless dropper. But now I'm gonna have to run the cable up and over the motor, probably gonna have to drop the battery, and maybe even drop the motor. Man, e-bikes are a pain, dude. Even though it took me way longer than I expected to get this bike back to stock, the positive side is that I cleaned all the ins and outs of every single part on this bike, and it's gonna be super clean for whoever buys it. But converting these bikes back to stock is a weird feeling. I get like emotionally detached and it's not mine anymore, like it's not even the same bike anymore. And normally when I get a new bike, I'm in love with it for like 3 to 6 months, but then I find something wrong and end up not liking it anymore. So this bike being in service for over a year is probably the longest I've used any mountain bike since I started this channel. And a quick comment on the Shimano EP6 motor. It was awesome, dude. It's been super quiet, good power delivery, and I think I like it more than Bosch. Since my video about my bike collection last summer, I was at 14 bikes in my garage and attic, but now, including these 4 bikes being built up to be sold, I'm at 7 bikes in my garage. So I've either sold or sent back demo bikes to Bikes Online, and if I sell these 4 bikes I'm building today, well, I'd be at only 3 bikes in my garage, and that is a huge downsizing. Well, there it is. And at first I was kind of sad to see this bike go back to stock, but now I'm thinking like, dang, dude, this looks pretty clean. And I'm thinking it's gonna be a pretty good deal for someone, especially because I think I'm gonna list it for like $1,800 on Marketplace. And when I go to sell bikes used, I sell it kind of low because I'd rather make a quick sale to clear up some garage space. But let's get to the next bike, and the next one is the Bird 029, the best aluminum hardtail that I tested way back on Hardtail Quest. But selling hardtails can be pretty difficult actually because I want to list this thing for $1,000, but I'm going to install some parts on it that should make it a pretty good deal. But let's talk about the first major life change that's taken place. But first we got to go back to this time last year. At the start of 2024, I was on the brink of failure, or so I thought. I saw the writing on the wall, the views were trending down, the ad offers were less frequent, and it seemed like mountain bike YouTube was in a bad place. I thought maybe my days as a full-time YouTuber were coming to an end, and I wouldn't be able to support my family of 6 with this career path. But what am I gonna do? Just roll over and let that happen? Heck no. I decided to lock in, go all in, and try super hard to make really good videos, and that led to High-Low Season 2, which turned out great, but also didn't get as many views as Season 1. But despite that, Season 2 is actually very successful on my end because of something that you didn't see. I cut my costs by 75% for that season compared to Season 1. So Season 2 of High-Low cost me about $5,500 in parts, whereas Season 1 was almost $20,000 in parts. In fact, the whole year I kept my costs very low. In previous years, I was spending about $55,000 on bikes and parts to make these videos, but now that it's almost tax season, I've compiled my expenses for 2024, and I spent $31,000 on bikes and parts and $6,000 for supplies. So much lower cost comparatively, and I'm pretty pumped on that. And those numbers are important because it's a tax write-off. Then in the summertime, I decided to venture out and start showing an S-Works, then a Trek Slash, then a Santa Cruz, and my views actually improved. Some of those videos are doing better than Hilo Season 2, which took way more work with filming and editing. So that tells me that maybe people enjoy seeing the fancy bikes, and that maybe I've kind of done all that I can do with the Polygons for now, at least until they upgrade their lineup. And because of the accidental success of the nice bikes, I got more views, leading to $11,000 more in YouTube earnings for 2024 compared to 2023. So if you crunch the numbers, I earned more, I spent less, and when Uncle Sam and the IRS hear that, you're gonna owe some money. So I think I'll end up owing a few $1,000s in taxes for 2024. I could get all upset about selling my bikes to pay taxes, but I'm looking on the positive side. I turned it around last year and the channel was successful, and I earned a profit for the first time since I started doing this. There we go, man. Carbon wheels, GX group set, Pike Ultimate fork. Heck, I even got some titanium bolts on there. And do you think I'll be able to get like $1,000 for it, or maybe even more? I don't know. So by the time this video comes out, these bikes won't be up on marketplaces yet. You know, I got to edit these videos. I got to bleed the brakes on every one of them. So I'm not going to have it on marketplace. So if enough people comment and tell me that a certain bike is worth more or less, I'll change the price, man. Because I don't know, this thing could be worth more than $1,000. Just depends. But man, that was so easy working on a hardtail with external cable routing. And this might be the only bike that I'm building up today that I actually want to take out for a final ride. Dude, this bike is sick. But that leaves me with the Bird Forge 29, the third bike being built up to be sold. This is a steel frame, and I think I have enough parts to build this one up and also try to get about $1,000, maybe more, because it's going to be a hardcore hardtail. Major life change number 2. Let's get straight into this. I'm not sure if you heard me mention a few minutes ago that I have a family of 6. I'm married with 4 kids. It's a great life, and kids, while they may be wild and make a mess out of your house, are such a blessing, and I just love them so much. I'm getting older. I just turned 35, and my wife and I decided to have one last baby, and that would be it, making it 5 kids in a family of 7. Wow, saying that out loud seems like a big number. So finding out that I have another baby on the way, going to be born in May of 2025, my perspective on the channel and my future plans have changed. I'm going to restructure some things. I need to make sure that we earn enough to live a comfortable life. I'm not talking about going on some vacations or living in some mansions. I would like to save up for a bigger house one day, nothing crazy, but 5 bedrooms would be nice. The restructuring isn't just about money though. Part of that includes dialing it back on the trail. So no more KOM attempts, no more training hard to enter XC or Enduro races. I'm going to go slower on the trail, just go trail speed, and I started going to the gym and doing functional workouts for injury prevention. Last year, I lost 20 pounds. I'd gotten pretty overweight, and for 2025, I'm going to continue trying to take care of myself by eating healthy, moving more, and going to the gym to strengthen my muscles. That way, when the inevitable crash happens, I'm flexible, limber, and I can take the hit without getting injured like I did last summer and ending up in a cast. But yeah, another kid on the way. So there you have it, a steel hardtail with 160 millimeters travel, just what it was designed for. Then we have some more carbon wheels, a GX group set, 4-piston brakes, the works, man. Worth $1,000? I don't know, maybe more on this one. But it's a new day. I just got done shoveling snow, and I pulled up YouTube to see that Remy Metallier just lost a bunch of his sponsors. And first Skills with Phil, now Remy. It's a bummer. But for me, I'll just say that you can't lose a sponsor if you've never had a sponsor. I've reached out to brands for years, and I either get ignored or treated like a scumbag, the scum of the earth, and it's actually pretty degrading. So I don't really email brands as much anymore. I do have some good partnerships with smaller companies, but I've never once received a paycheck from a bike-related company. And I kind of like having that independence and being able to say whatever I want. Plus, I'm super fortunate to have this whole channel basically funded by everyone who watches, comments, and bought tickets to win those bikes. But back to these bikes that I'm selling. It's funny, so this video took a lot of planning and taking inventory of what I had, and I found out that I have 4 GX group sets here, and I don't even remember where I got them all from. I did have to buy about $500 worth of parts to finish all these builds, like 2 crank sets, the DB8 brakes. I've had to buy 2 cassettes. But let's get to the last bike on the chopping block, and it's gonna bum you guys out. The last bike that must go is the Commencal Meta SX. I know, I just built it as a park bike, and I'm not selling this one primarily for the money to pay taxes, but I'm actually in talks with another brand to build a park bike that will look similar, but hopefully be way better. Hopefully I'll get that sometime in February, but let's get to work. I wish I had a better segue into my last big life change, but I don't, so I'll just say it. I used to get a lot of ad offers for like Squarespace or whatever brand to do a 1-minute ad in the middle of the video, but those are kind of drying up. I barely get offers now. A couple years ago, I used to have to turn down ads because I was booked up for the month. I think part of that is that there's so many YouTube channels now. The ad market is kind of oversaturated. I'm not worried about it anymore because I have a big plan for the future of this channel and I don't need to depend on ad money anymore. That's because raffles. Last year I did 2 bike giveaways selling tickets, and it was a great way to fund nice bikes that you guys like to see on the channel. Everyone seemed to love it, and I'm super grateful for the support. Plus it was super cool to send off these fancy builds to the lucky winners. So moving forward, I'm going to be doing more raffles, maybe even about once a month. That way I can have a Transition Sentinel on the channel, a Specialized Turbo Levo, and not have to fork out $5,000 on every bike, then turn around and hope that I can sell it used for $2,500. Plus, I think if I've ridden all the major bikes out there, I'd have an even better perspective when I review bikes and comment on how they feel. It would really only make the videos better. Many channels have Patreons or a membership where you can get early access to their videos or whatever they offer. But I think of monthly raffles in a similar way. You get yourself a ticket or many tickets for $5, you're supporting the channel and have a chance to win a super nice bike at the same time. And I think that's better than a Patreon membership. So moving forward, because the ad offers are less, I'm doing raffles to help fund these videos and keep the channel afloat. So there you have it, dude. This bike is actually pretty specced out. And man, I'm sad to see this one go. And dude, I mean, you could take this thing and go race enduros on it right now. It's that good. But I'm gonna ask $1,600 for it. And I'm not sure if I'll get that, but let me know if any of these bikes are over or underpriced in the comments. And I'm only looking to sell locally because shipping right now is super expensive. If you had to pay $300 to get this thing shipped, well, it just really wouldn't make this used deal worth it. I still have to tune up and clean all these bikes, but man, this video, putting together all 4 of these bikes has taken me way too long. But dude, hats off to this internal cable routing toolkit. It was difficult routing the cables on these 2 full suspensions, but this kit made it super easy and well worth the $16 I paid on Amazon. I'll have a link in the description. But with all these life changes, I'm selling these bikes because I want to, not because I have to, not because my wife told me to. In a way, these 4 bikes represent a chapter that I'm closing and I'm looking towards the future. And last year, I didn't know if I was gonna fail. I thought this whole YouTube thing was gonna dry up, but I put my head down, I worked super hard, I cut costs, and it was a success. And I'm super happy that you guys took part in growing this channel to what it is today. And hey, with everything I've talked about in this video, feel free to drop a comment. I love comments. It's the best part about making these videos. And stay tuned because the first raffle of the year is going to be the Santa Cruz Bronson.